Who do you think will give you the best car deal? A small dealership or a large dealership? In this video, we're going to discuss the 5 things you need to know about dealing with small and large dealerships, like inventory, pricing, financing, distance, and building relationships. And just for a reference, I'm not talking about town or city size. The number 34 Chevy dealership in the country is in a town of less than 10,000 people. And then you have dealerships like here in Louisville that sell less than 30 new cars per month. Let's first talk about building relationships. You guys hear me talk about building relationships all the time on this channel, and I think it's super important to make your car buying experience extremely simple. At small car dealerships, you're probably going to build more relationships faster the more you're there. I'm not saying that you can't do this at large dealerships either, but you may only have 1 or 2 people as a contact, where at small dealerships, you may have 5, 6, 7, 10 people that you know there. So if you experience a problem at a small dealership, you may be able just to walk in. Here at my large dealership, I'm a one-point contact for most of my customers, just like this person here who just experienced 2 flat tires. They knew they could contact me at any time, which they did, 10 p.m., and say, hey, listen, I have a problem, what do we do? If you don't have someone like me at the dealership, or you're just used them one time, it may be difficult when you go to a large dealership. Let's talk about turnover inside of that building relationships. I don't know what the hell this stat means, but NADA says that turnover rate inside of car dealerships is nearly 40%. That seems high. 22 years in the car business, I know that people are job hoppers because of whatever they think is better across the street. They will go there immediately without thinking. It's hit or miss depending on which dealership you go to. Small dealerships may have some people in that role forever and they never change until they retire. Large dealerships have the same thing. But I think with my experience, larger dealerships will have higher turnover rates than smaller dealerships, but it's all up in the air. It goes everywhere. When you're building that relationship, there's a huge difference between small and car dealerships as well. A small car dealership may be a longer sales process, but therefore you are building bigger relationships, where a large car dealership who is focused on volume is really interested in one thing, and that's getting a sale and getting you in and out as quickly as possible so they can move on to the next person that's getting ready to walk in the door behind you. Number 2 would be financing. Let's talk about indirect lending. If you don't know what indirect lending is, that's that finance guy right back there who is doing your loan for you on behalf of an outside bank. Direct lending would be you go to the bank. This is indirect. Direct to the bank, indirect in there. Small dealerships may have less banks to work with, therefore require you to do more work to go directly to a bank to get the best financing terms. Where large dealerships like this, we have like 60, 70 banks that we use. There's no reason to ever go to a bank on your own, because typically speaking, we can get you better terms, make it much easier for you, and cost you less time when you're trying to get your auto loan. Small dealerships may be more flexible of honoring your outside finance deal. A lot of banks will give you a draft, which is not real money, a cashier's check, or a letter of credit, which is the same thing as an IOU.
That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
Where larger dealerships may not be willing to do that, and certainly speaking from experience, we have more red tape as well. If you have less than perfect credit, financing is a huge deal when you're coming to a large dealership. Some small dealerships may not have all the resources for your less than perfect credit, where a big dealership like ours and others across the country have bigger portfolios where these banks really focus in on, and their losses are a lot less when there's a lot more people in that portfolio. If you do have less than perfect credit, I talk about this all the time. There's a link in the description below or in the info card above. Number 3, let's talk about distance. Everybody's time nowadays is so important. And the biggest thing you want to do is get in and get out with your new car. With the vast majority of the United States living in big metropolitan areas, that local dealership may be the easiest one to go to, but is it the right one to go to? It may be less effort to get to that dealership, but it may be more effort in the long run. If you like the idea of smaller dealerships, you may have to travel 30 or 40 plus minutes to get to that dealership. Or if you're in a big metropolitan area and a certain dealership has a certain reputation, you may have to drive all the way across town. It's going to be worth it in the long run to deal with the one that you want to deal with the most. Let's talk about service. Service after the sale is super important, and there's a big advantage of smaller and larger dealerships. Small dealerships may be able to get you in there quicker and get the job done faster, where large dealerships, they may take a little bit longer time and have more people to deal with. Just like any industry in the United States right now, the automotive industry is suffering huge amount of shortage of technicians. Now, this isn't something new. This is something that's been going on for the last 5 to 7 years. So certainly looking at Google reviews will decide on which dealership you want to go to. Another disadvantage of small dealerships is we may not have the parts that you need, where a large dealership like us has the parts. So it's teeter-tottering on everything. Remember that personalized service I mentioned earlier in the video? Small dealerships probably are going to have more personalized service. I know of many dealerships out there who are driving to you to get your routine maintenance done or repair. Let's say you need an oil change. Let's say you have a repair that's scheduled. There's dealerships out there who will go to your home, your office, pick up your vehicle, take it back there, get the repair done, and bring it back to you without you ever stepping foot in the dealership. That's a huge thing that most small dealerships will offer, where large won't. Let's talk about those extended repairs. Most manufacturers out there have some type of loaner program inside the dealership. Smaller dealerships might have less loaner cars, where large dealerships may have the most. But in 2021, none of that matters, because our dealership usually has 60 loaner cars. We currently have 3 because of the chip shortage. And number 4, you know this had to be a big difference between small and large dealerships, and we're talking about pricing. Larger dealerships tend to move more volume, so therefore they're going to give you the best discount right up front so they can get you in and out. Smaller dealerships typically will not give you the best discounts right up front, but with proper negotiating techniques, you can get the same deals regardless if you're at a small and large dealership. You just may have to work at it more at a small dealership. The vast majority of people do want to trade in cars, so therefore the larger dealerships have less risk to hold more inventory than the smaller dealerships. I'm talking about how long it takes them to turn your used car. Just because a Chevy dealership has a Toyota like this one doesn't mean that this car is bad inventory compared to a Chevy on our car lot. Dealers watch inventory so closely, and they know the average turn of cars. So therefore, if you are trying to trade in a car that is slower to sell, that smaller dealership may not give you as much on trade because it's a bigger risk. And it especially holds true when you're trading an off-brand. Some dealerships still think this way. It's wrong, but they think having an off-brand at their lot is not good merchandise. Negotiating the price of a car deal is pretty much dead nowadays. But let's say you're that super awesome, great negotiator. Small dealerships may be less willing to negotiate or take a short profit deal, where large dealerships may be willing to take that short deal to gain your trade, to gain your financing, and to move more inventory. And since I just mentioned inventory, that rolls us into number 5, inventory. Yes, large dealerships are going to have a whole lot more inventory, especially during the chip crisis and inventory crisis of 2021. If you go to a large dealership and they have a lot of inventory, but they don't have the right one that you want, the likelihood of them getting that from another dealer is much higher, because that other dealer can take something that's valuable to them as well. Where that small dealer may not have a whole lot to choose from, so a large dealer is gonna be like, nah, we're not interested in trading with you. Not to mention, in 2021, we've learned more about ordering cars, that larger dealerships are more willing to order cars, and they get more allocations, so therefore you get your order much quicker. Let's talk about test driving these bad boys. Yes, small dealers may have a much more relaxed test drive policy over large dealerships. Small dealerships may only sell 1 or 2 cars per day, so them having a car off the lot may not be that big of a deal compared to a large dealer. You test driving one of their cars for 24 hours or them delivering it to you may be a big benefit of helping them sell a car. Where a large dealership, if this car or that car is gone for an hour, it could cost the dealership a sale. So again, back to what I said earlier in building relationships, big dealers are all about now, where small dealerships may say, yeah, take it for a little bit. Go drive it, take it to your wife, take it to work. Take it for 24 hours. Let's talk about a highly used term inside the car business, and of course I had to get a Ford to demonstrate this. That is lot rot. Yes, with bigger dealerships, they may not hold their inventory as long as smaller dealerships. That highly utilized term in the car business just means that things go bad, the longer a vehicle sits here. It costs more money. So therefore, when you come to a larger dealership, this car is not going to be sitting here very long. So therefore, you may get in it, there's nothing wrong with it, and on your way. Whereas smaller dealerships, you may run into a problem that's going to delay your delivery of your new car. There's nothing wrong with buying from a small dealership versus a large dealership. It's all about your preference and your choice. But keep in mind, with today's tradition of online car shopping, the further you drive away from your house, the less likelihood you are going to be able to negotiate that price. Dealerships know when you drive or communicate from long distances, you've been looking for a long time, you're looking for that specific vehicle, and the less willing they are to negotiate. Also keep in mind that if you're traveling across country, you're gonna have airfare, transport fees of getting that car back to you, and if you have a trade, you've got to get that to the dealership as well.